What we do know about ISIS is that ISIS tries to exploit existing fault lines in the different countries and regions that it operates in. So it is no coincidence that it struck in Russia at a time when Russia is embroiled in a brutal war in Ukraine. It struck Iran at a time last January when at the height of the Gaza war, and the Houthis and other pro-Iranian proxies engaged in conflict in the region and attacks on U.S. forces, attacks on Israel, attacks on international shipping. So ISIS is, you apply that sort of same signature MO to India. And in the context of India is that there's a rising, if you will, or consolidating Hindu nationalist state. It's a single party state that is in the making. And this is creating anxiety amongst the very large Muslim minority. And you would think that this ISIS is going to exploit this. Strategically, it is an environment in which ISIS would definitely want to, come in and leverage through attacks. But the question is one of capability. And now with, law enforcement agencies after the Russia attack kicking into higher gear, we saw the Turks arrest close to 150 people today suspected of ISIS links. India, there were reports, I think it was yesterday or the day before, when they announced that they had arrested a student at one of their Indian Institute of Technology campuses. This is an elite school that caters to, engineering and technology. And one of the students at one of their campuses was found to be communicating with ISIS, or at least pledging to join ISIS. And this is just one case in the last few days. I mean, there are other reports of ISIS trying to recruit from India. And so the question at the end of the day is, what kind of capability? And we do know ISIS operates in neighboring Pakistan. We do know ISIS operates in Afghanistan. And Afghanistan's ISIS, also known as the Islamic State Khorasan Province, or ISKP, has now taken on a very transnational role. If you just go by the fact that they, deployed four operatives of Tajikistani, Central Asian background, people who are of a Persianate ethnicity, who were expat workers in Russia, to stage the attack on that concert hall the other day. So that's some sophisticated deployment capability that ISIS has demonstrated. We saw a similar, MO being used to attack Iran back in January when they had those two suicide bombing attacks near the tomb of former IRGC QF commander Qasem Soleimani, was killed in a U.S. airstrike in early 2020. So, then one has to assume that it is eyeing India. But when it's able to strike is anybody's guess. But if and when it does happen, given the polarized atmosphere and the increasingly polarized atmosphere, this could be akin to sort of lighting a match, in an area filled with fuel, if you will.
I mean, we're talking about the sort of short to medium term future here, but long term, if we assume that the BJP wins here again, and who knows, they may win again in 5 years' time and whatever that might mean, what's the sort of, I don't want to say end game, but what if Narendra Modi continues down his path towards more Hindu nationalism? Where could this end up with India? I mean, what is at stake?
So that's a great question, Chris. So my sense is that Prime Minister Modi is not an ideologue per se. I think that, yes, he does believe in his ideology. Everybody believes in whatever ideology they subscribe to. But then there are degrees of belief and if you will, fealty to the ideology. He comes across as a very pragmatic individual. And you see that through the way he's managed the country, both politically, but also on the economic and financial front. And you've also seen it in terms of India's foreign policy, close relations with a wide variety of countries, from Russia to the United States to, even China, where their relationship isn't that great. Gulf-rich Arab states, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Israel. You go to states in the African continent, in Latin America, in Europe, and so even Iran, if you will. And so I think, his challenge is to be able to consolidate power by leveraging this Hindu identity and to be able to maximize votes on one hand. But on the other hand, he knows that India is the fifth largest economy of the world and could very easily slip into position 3 by overtaking both Japan and Germany as early as 2027, 2028. And so that is another imperative of the Modi government. And this is something not news. If you go back to when he was chief minister of the state of Gujarat, he was very pro-business. So there's this ideological side to him and his party, and then there's the pro-business side. And I mean, by all accounts, the BJP is a very well-oiled political machine, operating at multiple levels, down from sort of the grassroots all the way to the national. And bearing in mind that states in India have a considerable degree of autonomy. The chief minister of any state is quite powerful, and has to, prime ministers have to work with them. So considering that, I think that the big question to sort of monitor moving forward is, how does Modi in a third term balance between his sort of political imperative with the geoeconomic imperative, or the geopolitical imperative of India as a rising economic powerhouse.